just I'll talk about that after because I just noticed it. Hello, listeners, and welcome to Chapter 53 of DC Alliance. As always, I'm Travis_156 on Twitter, and I'm joined by yet another new co-host, apparently, as my old co-host is, or still is suspended, the Geek vs. Gauntlet champion himself, Travis B. Snell. How you doing today, Travis?
I'm doing all right. We're here under some different circumstances that we're going to talk about, but I'm excited. This is technically when you're talking about 53. This is the 1 year anniversary of the DC Alliance existing. It's kind of crazy. We're doing our celebration in a couple weeks, but still, this week is the 1 year GUA has been going in, and that's pretty crazy. It's been a year past, so.
Yeah, I thought about it today actually that I wasn't even supposed to have anything to do with this show
Mm-hmm.
initially. When I
Mm-hmm.
signed on to the network, and now I'm the last man standing at 53 episodes here, which is surprising. I actually think you do it up. It might probably be with Chris in terms of who's done the most episodes on this network so far. I think
I think I think Chris. Well, actually, I was gonna say because you took 1 week off of DC Alliance, but then Chris took off the Christmas for Marvel Alliance. So I think you guys are pretty. I think you guys might be legitimately tied up. So
at almost any point 5 episodes of DC Alliance, Chris has been on. So
yeah,
it's
that's true.
yeah. So, before we get into anything else, I think you should do the new network plug as we've had some updates that happen today, actually dropped on the network feed today. So, why don't you give those to the listeners and go on into the network plug because that's what the new co host always does. That's the
Mhm.
initiation.
That's in the contract. Yeah. So if you want the full details, it's only about 7 minutes, or at least a little updates. Our 1 year anniversary. Like I said, June 19th, we're gonna do a fun crossover with GV and GUA. Sorry, and that's gonna be a really fun time. But what's happening is obviously this change one you've known about for weeks as far as Ranger Alliance is now on the Monday because World's Finest True Believers had all their retros, so now they flip back and forth because they're bi-weekly. There's going to be upcoming change that won't be permanent as far as superhero discussions of Marvel Alliance switching places because of Loki. So Hines was nice enough to let those two guys switch over because they, covering Loki, a day before the new one, kind of weird. But let's see, Tony Walt Gator. When I see Walton, I'm always surprised. But Walt Gator, you just be quiet over there for a second, all right? So, and then more importantly, is this show and Marvel Alliance now have their solo feed. So what's going to happen is day and date. So tomorrow, when you're listening to this currently on the Tuesday, it'll release on the GUA. So if you listen to all the shows, everything like that, nothing's changing. But if you just listen to DC or just listen to Marvel, those will be separate feeds. There will be other shows possibly in the future. This is just kind of like a trial, and lots of the other shows that are spinoff shows. It's up to the person. It's up to to break the fourth wall, their contract. If they want to be separate, if they want to stay, they can. So that's gonna be something we're testing out. Let us know if you like it. Please go subscribe, rate, and review, and then as followed, like we said, Mondays is World's Finest True Believers and Ranger Alliance. This week is Ranger Alliance. They switch on and off bi-weekly. Tuesdays, DC Alliance records live Monday nights. Wednesdays, Marvel Alliance records Tuesday. And then Thursdays, K-Day with Star Wars Alliance and Slice of Film. This week they have Star Wars Alliance coming up. They just record that on YouTube, so you can check that out. Friday, superhero discussions. You can check out last week. You just reviewed MODOK. Very different type of show, but Heinz not as positive as some other people. But then Saturday and Sunday is Jim bringing you the best in the comics right now with the Marvel and DC Comics Roundup brought to you by Weird Science. And Patreon, you can give us a tip at the $1 tier, and then $5 tier, you get early exclusive ad-free episodes. We're going to be doing some stuff in August soon that we're going to be having lots more content up there because we're getting off to the races. It's been 1 year. So yeah, lots of good stuff. And just a big thank you to everyone that listened because we put this out on the GV feed that both GV and GUA had their biggest months of all time. So pretty good for coming on the 1 year anniversary, and GUA has broken that record. So very nice. So
natural, just natural, my friend. Yeah, the one thing I was thinking about was when you gave a little update. I'll never forget we had no content essentially for the first while, and bam, it's still been going good. I can't imagine when this COVID thing is fully behind us and everything is all caught up movie wise, where we'll be in the network. So.
Oh yeah, exciting! Like next 8 months, you think about it, we got Black Widow, Spider-Man, Suicide Squad, The Batman. Like we got so much stuff coming. We got DC Fandom, which I cannot wait for this year. We're gonna do a big stream again, so I think we're just gonna be rocking and rolling. Whether you are hosting with Claire or not, that's gonna be a big question. But I will. So people might be wondering, and this is why we always recommend go follow the Twitter feeds and whatnot. Last week, Clay decided to say some, I don't know, not so nice words about me. You can see if you're watching the video, that's a nice title. What we do over at Geekverse is we have this thing called the Geekverse Gauntlet. It is a gaming esports league. We play a bunch of games. There's winners, there's losers. The league's been on a break because we did that in person, and obviously COVID restriction we didn't. So this Saturday, which is a charity stream for the Palestine Children Relief Fund, it is a fund that helps out children that have lost their home, lost their family members, all towards kids that in need, that really need some help and support. So we'd appreciate if you just even come and watch and retweet. It's all going towards a good cause. The description will be on my Twitter feed and whatnot, but the league is coming back, and there's going to be a title match between Kirkland and Taylor, and he's defending his title and blah, blah, blah. But Clay decided to say something about like, hey, I these hashtags, Scott McClan, like I consider him a friend. He helped with the stream last year. He's been on Marvel Alliance. I thought that was a pretty good, cute coup of me. Chris didn't even know that. I got Scott, the host of DC Films, to come on Marvel Alliance show, but here he is releasing hashtags about me. Clay said some very disparaging words last week, so I unfortunately had to suspend him off the show. And I said he could come back if he would face me in a game of my choice. Now, I have two things to say, and we're going to bring him here in a second. But the first thing I'm going to say is the game of choice, because he's agreed it's going to be Rocket League. Why did I pick Rocket League? Two reasons. One, I spent months training for a tournament that didn't happen, so I'm ready. And two, the last time I played Rocket League 1-on-1 was me versus my best friend. It was title versus career. If I won, he had to retire. He lost. He's never playing Gauntlet again. That was 3 years ago. So I am ready to make another mo in Rocket League. But now that he is accepted, please let's bring in Fanboy Clay here, because I have an offer. Because everybody's been going on why is it non-title? Why is it non-title? I don't care whoever enters this league. No one's just getting a one-on-one first title match. He's proven nothing. Heinz, you know the expression, to beat the man, or to be the man, you got to beat the man, right? So
I just watched Ric Flair 30 for 30 the other night, and yeah, amazing. And we'll have to bring him in because he needs a chance to defend himself here, and I also want to hear this out. This is very interesting. I find myself as the Vince McMahon of this contract signing here. Clay, how you doing this evening, Clay? You're free. You're out of, I don't know, GUA purgatory here, I guess. Mm-hmm. What do you think? First of all, what do you think about that amazing championship belt and Snell's look and his words?
I was never caged. I'll just say that much. We saw the hashtags. We see what the people want. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I will accept this challenge. We've already laid down the rules here. So I still think it's a little BS. But
I have to ask, how are you? What's your level of skill when it comes to Rocket League?
Rocket League, I will admit, the last time I played Rocket League, they still had like IP rights for Back to the Future cars and BVS and things like that. Apparently, they don't do that anymore. So, yeah, you can call me a little rusty. You can call me fresh with this game, but it's Snell, so it's going to be an easy game.
I see. That's fun. Everyone underestimates me, and that's why I'm not defending my title right now, Geekverse, because I've beaten everybody there. I'm like Thanos. There's 6 Geekverse members, and I collected them all. Last stream was the last time I had to do that. Now, everyone's talking about this title. You're not getting a title shot. Not in your wildest dreams would you get even a chance to touch this sort of thing. Plus, I'd have to ship it, and that would cost a lot of money. But if we were to play for a title, you would have to earn it. And that's why everyone's been saying title match, not going to happen this time. But if everyone knows, we do a charity stream in November as well. So we start to plan ahead, things like that. So here is my offer. And I'm also bringing Heinz in this because Heinz may want to say he's all innocent and whatnot. He's the one that's called me Mayweather, saying that I'm backing down from fights and everything like that. I know this. So what I'm going to say is if you beat me come June 5th, it's going to be taking place at 8 p.m. EST. So everyone come watch on the Geekverse YouTube channel. Probably going to be like a best of 3 or something. We'll talk about those rules. But if you beat me in November, we will do a classic Geekverse title match. What that is you play 3 games. The winner of the 2 games obviously gets the title, and you can have. So if you beat me this Saturday, we can do that. If I win, I get 2 things. One very little and one very big. One, you have to thank me for the opportunity because #thank me. That's trademarked. 2, I don't know when. I have an idea and a date. It might have to do with the November 24-hour charity stream. But if I beat you, you and Heinz have to do a commentary track for the 2017 Justice League movie live on air, recorded. You guys have to watch that punishment. Oh, I love Zack Snyder. He's the best. Man of Steel, BVS. Well, you get to watch what someone did to his terrible work and see what happened to it. And you have to watch this because I swear I think I've heard you both say, "Oh, I'll never watch it again. Never watch it again." So if you lose, you have to watch it again with everyone. That's my challenge.
Can I speak for 2 seconds? First of all, I said Mayweather, and the information that I was given on the stream that night. I do not know the history. No, I did not know the history of the GB tournament like that. I will not put my fate of watching Justice League into this thing. If you want to, like, at a future date, set up something where I have to play someone, I'll put my own life in my hands. I'm completely fine with that. I will wager. I will do this.
So you're gonna set this commentary track on my shoulders alone.
Look at this. Look at this.
I will do this. If Snell wins,
2 betrayals.
I will donate $50. If Clay wins, I will donate $25. So Snell gets extra if he wins.
You also make Clay the bad guy there. You're like, if you win, I
am your co-host, and you're going to spend less money on me?
Clay, I'm going to spend $50, of course. I'm just saying that now.
There you go. Jose, watch it. So fine. I'll just make it Clay. Even though, just to be honest, me and Clay are feuding. I threw Taylor off a building, and he's wanting to call a truce to unite GV. Here's Hines, week 1 in your suspension, saying, "Oh, I'm not going to watch."
Throwing me under the bus.
Yeah, threw you under the bus.
Clearly, because I want to say this too. Clearly, I'm the only one of the 3 of us that actually plays sports because I'm an ultra uber competitive man. A competitive person. If you beat me in a game, I will play that game relentlessly for the next month. I did to my girlfriend. She beat me in Mario Kart 64. First time I played it in years. I took a week off work, played relentlessly when she wasn't home, took her around again, destroyed her. I'm a monster. Do that with my grandmother, playing cards, anything in sports too. So I will gladly put up something playing myself, but I don't put my faith in anybody else, only myself when it comes to competition.
You see what I'm seeing, Travis, right out the chat?
Yes. Well, 2 things. One, I'm even more the heel now, I feel like, if I win. And second of all, I was going to say, Hines, that is a thing that could help you. But if you ever enter these leagues, you have to go do your homework because you get to know some game events, but other games are picked out of a hat. So you got to be quick on your feet too. You might not get those months of preparation. Clay's getting a couple days at least preparation. There's been times where you think I want to play fucking, I don't know, Pokemon Stadium. No, but I had to, and I'm still here.
That's nothing. That's it. That'd be fine. I played Pokemon Stadium plenty, just the Nintendo 64 version. So
Clay, the challenge is on the table. Will you accept? If you beat me, you get a title shot in the future. If I beat you, you have to watch Justice League 2017 streamed live in a future date of.
I am confident in my hatred of that movie that you will lose this Saturday.
Wow, 100%. That's some power. Okay.
I know what's going to end up happening. If Clay loses, I'll still end up donating and I'll end up joining on the stream. So try to take a stand now, but I know it's just going to roll me into that. So Clay, you better win for the love of God.
Oh, I'm going to.
Also, you'll never see a championship shot. You'll never see a championship shot if you don't win.
The day that Snell decided to even think about this challenge, he had already lost. So,
okay, that's fine. People underestimate all the time, and all I'll say is tune in Saturday, and I'm ready. I'm ready.
And that belt is very impressive, by the way. And now that we got you, Snell, we're going to keep you for the first story tonight because I don't know a bigger Joker fan than you. Mm-hmm. You're the one that posted this in our chat, and I'm just going to quote the Luis Fernando tweet because he says apparently Todd Phillips has struck a deal to co-write Joker 2 sequel to 2019 smash hit for WB, and that's what lawyer Warren Dern, apparently behind the supposed deal between Mr. Phillips and WB, just put that in his little bio for THR's top 100 attorneys. So this is first out of left field because we didn't hear any rumblings before this, just some people hoping. And now we have this. Are you 100% sure this is going to happen, or are you waiting for confirmation from Phoenix or Phillips, or are you just fully excited about this. I'm so curious, both your thoughts, but give them to me, Snell.
I'm not 100% as far as I think we have to wait to see what happens with this merger in the next year, because that's the problem that I feel you can have lots of projects announced, but if someone comes in power. Now, do I think someone's going to shoot down the Joker sequel because of the money? No, I think they'd still push it through. I think it has a if it's being written, I think barring something happen with the merger, I think it's going to happen, because I know people bring up Phoenix and he's never done a sequel and they brought up both of them. But the thing is, if you looked at the press tour, they both said they expressed interest in a sequel. They both talked about it on set, and that's super rare for Phoenix because he's never ever cared about a sequel. If you look at history, he was supposed to be Doctor Strange. He saw that contract, went, what, 8 movies? I'm not doing that. So he left. So that's the thing. I think the fact that even Phoenix in the past has said he's interested in doing a sequel, I think shows it's going to happen. I think they want to put a little space in between it. And I think it's going to be, and I'm excited to hear Clay's thoughts, but I think it's going to be very much like the first one, where it's going to be controversial build up. It's going to be talk of why do we need this? What's the point of it? And that's the same thing we got the last one. It was controversy because it was going to make people go crazy, when really it just made people dance on some stairs, and that was about it. And people said, oh, how can you do without Batman? How can you just do a Joker origin story? Whatever you think about the movie, money wise, it made $1 billion. It's the biggest rated R movie of all time. So it's crazy. Like, the 2 biggest DC movies are Aquaman and then Joker. It's crazy to think that it was even bigger than Dark Knight. So from pure financial, it just makes sense to do this, whether you like it or not. If they're trying to make hits, Joker 2's the way. And I am excited because I think there's multiple routes. Because I know Brent asked, like, would you want one? I do, because I think it can stand alone. If this sucks, look at the director. We have Todd Phillips, who I love The Hangover. There's a couple date jokes. Hangover 2 and 3, not so much, but I still love that first one, you know? So if this sucks, I'll still have Joker 1. And I've pitched it for a while. I think you could make Joker a Charles Manson-like character where, yeah, he's weak, he doesn't do anything, but because he has these followers, though, that's how he gets stuff done. I've seen other people like pitch a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with him. I think there's just loads of potential in this universe with this character. I don't think you need a Batman per se, but I'll throw it over to Clay, who, as you heard earlier, his first word is gross when it comes to this story. So
Yeah, I keep throwing this joke around that, like, if DC was ran by Snell, it would only be Batman and Joker. Like, Superman would be Bruce Wayne.
We would have had a
Lois
Green
Lane
Lantern
would be
movie way
Joker.
by now. We had a Green Lantern movie yesterday.
Hal Jordan would be Joker. Sinestro would be Bruce Wayne.
That'd be great.
Just
he's already green.
That's the way Snell wants DC to be ran, and I just think it's disgusting.
Okay. First of all, let's keep this podcast civil.
And that is completely false. I've said many times, I want it all. I want all the Batman stuff, but I want, like, the Green Lantern movie. I want the Flash. I want the Flash movie. I want Black Adam. Like, I want all of it. I don't want just Batman.
Wait. Why does he want the Flash movie?
What do I want the Flash movie?
Yeah.
Well, you made a comment of like, oh yeah, I want the Flash movie, like as if it's something. There's something there that
I was just making fun because he was super excited for Keaton. So
yes,
you were saying
that's why
Batman
it's
thing.
Keaton Affleck. You know, other than that, I'm not that too thrilled about it. But here we go.
Exactly, it's because of Batman.
Yeah,
but this whole thing with Joker, I will say the same thing that I said on my podcast, Batman News Weekly. Not everything needs to be a franchise. And the reason why I say that is because there was the first argument we had when there was only rumors of this. We were talking about it in our chat. You know, there are very big, very popular, very cult classic movies that don't have sequels, and they're 100% worth it. I am willing to eat crow if Joker 2 is a phenomenal return for Phoenix and the Joker as a franchise now. I will 100% do it, because I was one of those people that when I heard there was a Joker movie, I had the same reaction of, do we really need to do this whole Batman Joker thing over and over and over and over again? I really enjoyed Joker. I saw it 4 times in theaters. So I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it as a one-time movie. Like I think the ending is perfect as one of those movies that, like, did the whole thing, was it all in his head? Maybe. I like to think of it as not all on his head, but I like the theory. I also just like the whole premise of the freaking movie. I really enjoy that. I just don't think that this movie should be made for that reason of it just being, hey, it was a great one-time movie, but also the people that are like, oh man, we were always planning this. We were always just no, you weren't. Like you were trying to get this movie taken away and not be made. Like we've seen evidence of that for WB. So in my mind, it's all about the money, which I understand is business. It's always going to be about the money. But whenever it comes to a great movie like The Joker, I think the second one will always be remembered of, oh, they're just chasing the money.
See, these are great points. And Snell, your Hangover 1, 2, 3 point, I didn't even think about that. I would like to think that maybe that Phillips, not in comedy with Phoenix, might be able to do a better sequel than Hangover 2 and 3. But I'm you'd be stupid not to make this movie if both Phoenix and Phillips are on board because of how much the first one made. The only thing that DC did was shoot themselves and WB was shoot themselves in the foot and not fully finance, not have enough faith to fully finance the first movie. But if you made $1 billion on a movie and you don't do a sequel, if you can, there's no studio that wouldn't do that.
Well, here's a question for both of you. Is this going to be an account of them giving them too much money and overshooting their expectations, and especially in a post-COVID world?
I don't think you can overshoot your expectations, yes, but the bottom line is still so cheap to make with this in this world. Like, it's not expensive. You don't like it's you're not getting 100 million for budget, even on the second one. You don't need it, and they won't want it. So I think that your bottom line, will you make $1 billion? Probably not. Will you make 500 million? Maybe, and that would be good on a $75 million budget. So I think that do I understand where they will go for story? No. I don't think that they're like they can go on, but I'm willing to see it. I wasn't my favorite movie, like, because I don't like that kind of experience that you get when you come out of the Joker. I'm more sunshine lollipops kind of guy.
Well, it's just like Sarah said in the chat. Can you strike gold twice? It is very rare.
Yeah, but you're not looking to strike gold.
Do this.
When you're spending $50 million on your budget, I don't think that.
If you're expecting to make a franchise after a movie made $1 billion, you're expecting gold the second time.
I think you can, because I think terrible Transformers movies that prove that again and again, that made billions after billion, prove that. I think if this movie has the same buzz the first one did as the Dangerous movie, I think it will get close to that. And I think that's part of the reason why it made so much money, is just because people had to see it to have their own opinion on it. Like, oh, people are talking about this and it's all this. And I think it also has a chance too, because I think what people don't really realize, it's a weird thing because there's no Batman in it, but he is going to be this generation's Joker the same way Heath was the 2010 generation Joker. People know I don't like Jared Leto's Joker, but the thing is, like, he is the only Joker that we've seen. That Teen Titans clip going around this week, right? That was trending for a little bit. And it's just like, the thing is, he's the only Joker to be a punchline. The other Joker's Caesar, maybe he is now, but like Jack, Heath, Joaquin, he's not. So I feel like Joaquin coming back will be, we've talked about this before, I think you guys did on DCA as well, as far as, and same as Geek, for it's like, if it's not Joaquin, I don't think there's a shot. There's no shot. You know, if he did, like, some people are pitching, oh, he'll do like another Joker story. No, that's not it. The money's in Phillips and Phoenix together. And I think if you bring him back, that movie's kind of getting to iconic status just for Joaquin, I think, because he also won the Oscar. It was this big thing. And I also think because after Leto, which was a mix, people do really enjoy it, but it was a mixed performance. It was like, oh, can anyone reach what Heath did? And Phoenix, you could make an argument did. I think because it's a different take with that character coming back, it's the same way as like Hugh Jackman to Wolverine, with Ryan Reynolds the Deadpool, with Keaton with Batman. He's going to be linked to this role, I think, forever now, whether he likes it or not. So I think him coming back will help it to get it to at least 700 million, which they usually consider that's like a huge, big box office block. And also, just before you go, Heinz, I want to say in the chat, is there anybody, look at the $1 billion films other than Avatar, which we're getting? I don't know. Is there a single $1 billion film that doesn't have a sequel? I would feel that it would, like, you know, obviously not counting a third too. That's the end of a trilogy. Like, I feel like all $1 billion movies. Yeah, you're right there, but there's still time. There's still time.
Are you?
No, but you're right. You're right, and that's how rare it is, right?
He didn't say franchise. He just said billion-dollar movie.
Exactly. No, and that's what I was trying to think, because what other movie, Titanic, great point, but most time when it's a billion, that's that insta, okay, you're green light for the sequel, you know?
My thing about the praise for Phoenix, yes, is justified, but when you stack his Joker up against the other ones, his Joker is missing and doesn't have to deal with the biggest, keyest element to Joker, which is Batman and his obsession with Batman and all that jazz. Like that's something he don't have to deal with at all. So that's just
that is
focusing
true.
on our
But Phillips did make something that nobody thought was possible: a Joker without Batman. 100%. So I 100% agree with the fact that this can no longer have that argument. Oh, can you do a Joker without Batman? My one and only fear is that WB is thinking, oh, the only way to make more money is to bring Batman in. And
they're not wrong though. Like, they're not wrong. It's the same way Sony's saying about, like, how can we make Venom bigger? Well, we got to get Spider-Man, you know, and that's the thing where I think, who knows what Phillips really thinks.
You can start with Spider-Man.
In my opinion, I call bullshit on the, oh, we'll never do a Batman in this universe, because there's no reason you gun down his parents again. To me, even when people are like, there won't be a sequel, that was to me my first tip off of they're at least thinking of a sequel, because you don't do the Wayne's murder just for fun. You don't do it just to have it in there.
I think no, because I think so many people want to do that iconic scene no matter what. It doesn't matter if they want a sequel.
I'm going to be honest with you. If I was Bruce Wayne in that movie, I would go for vengeance just for the dude sticking his fingers in my mouth, to be honest with you. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I would probably train him to go vengeance just for that, because that was the weirdest thing ever. I'm like, okay,
100%.
like, get your fingers out of my mouth.
And it's so funny because I'd love to get his thoughts on it, because there was rumors, which I would have loved to see. There was rumors in the original cut that it was Joker that shot the parents, but then as he walks away, he turned and he shot little Bruce. That would have been really crazy. Like, how do you go? But the fact that you kept him alive, I still think, I know people go, how would that happen? It's a completely different universe. I think you'd get a Batman that is, again, a Scorsese ripoff, kind of like a Taxi Driver, probably a bit more violent, but I don't think they'd even go there right now. I think they'll focus, in my opinion, either of him being in a mental institution or as kind of, like I said, a Manson-like figure, because that's what that movie proposed at the end, as these people look at him as like a twisted icon. And to Clay's point, what I do worry is the same thing I worry about Spider-Verse with Sony. If you kind of read reports, Sony made Spider-Verse and they're happy with it, but it went very under the radar because, like, it's just some animated Spider-Man movie. Then it gets all this praise, it wins an Oscar, and like I said before, I don't like that the original directors aren't back. That's my biggest worry with that movie. Is Sony's gonna be like, well, that was a hit, we got to make sure it's a hit again, and they get too overblown. I could see the same thing happening with Joker, where maybe Phillips doesn't have as much of an easy time on this film, and hopefully they just let him go, or maybe they have a few notes, but that could be my worry of, like, well, we got to make sure this is successful, or make it seem like we made it successful, so let's get our hands on it. Oh, you do got to have Batman. I'm fine if Batman's in there, if Phillips and Phoenix sat down and go, hey, we got an idea to add him in. If it's Warner Brothers saying, hey, you need to put Batman in this movie, that's where I start going, I don't really want it. And that's something we'll never know.
That's more of what I mean. Because if it's organic, if Phillips can do it, then fuck, let's see it. But if, again, we have seen this time and time again with WB wanting to put mandates, wanting to put their fingers into the cookie jar, when they have really, like, no reason to be in the kitchen whatsoever, like, that's the problem.
That's a really good point, Clay. But I also think that it's just too easy of an opportunity to pass up. You have to do it. And with this, I don't think they'll be interfering with this. First of all, the regime that interfered with Justice League isn't there anymore. And also, this got made even though they didn't want it to. Like, the head of DC Films couldn't stop this from being made because they can't mess with star power of Joaquin Phoenix. So I think that this will get made. If Phoenix is on board, this will get made whatever way he wants because of your credibility that you built with your previous movie. I just hope with Batman's sense, you don't. Phillips would not put Bruce Wayne in his first film for no reason, I don't think. So I think that they can call back on it. I don't think it would be forced by WB. I think maybe that's the only way you up the ante from Joker 1. But who knows?
Yeah. And my only, like, not to say in defense of Hamada, because he's as we've heard, maybe a piece of crap guy. As far as just decision making goes, take about the personal stuff. If he was not a fan of Joker, there's always a chance that he sees this now and he goes, well, I was just completely wrong. And he's not going to spearhead, right? Like, I don't know the guy. I'm just saying there's been times, sports, movies, where you just go, even in personal life, you go, it's not going to work. And then it happens. You go, okay, I was wrong. Go ahead. And I don't know when we'd see this movie. Joaquin has a lot of projects lined up. I don't think it would be at least the earliest, like 2024, to be honest. And I think
I was thinking late 23 or early 24.
and that's good because that's almost 4 to 5 years. I think that's a good break, especially with these films. Like, if I think that's where Phoenix would not be interested if they did it and then right away they're like, hey, get the makeup on, you're doing it again. And I do think it would be interesting too, because one of my favorite things about that movie is there's Arthur Fleck and you slowly see him become the Joker. But once he goes to the talk show, he's completely his version of the Joker. He's lost, he's gone mad, everything like that. If we were to get that for a whole movie, true, it could be a lot, but also we only got to see about 10, 15 minutes of his like fully realized Joker. So to see a full movie of that's what would interest me. And I think it's just because Joaquin, I love that performance and I'd love to see more and see what he could do. It's you never know. Could it be a mistake? Sure. But then they don't do a third one and the first one's there and they go, well, they shouldn't have done that second one, but that first one was good. And then we move on to the next Joker. Because as I've said before, Matt Reeves will have a Joker in his movie. If he is for sure doing a trilogy, there's no way
he's going to have it at least in his third movie. I don't think he'll have it in his second, but I think he will have it in third.
Wherever it pops up, he'll have a Joker, and then we'll be good. And maybe the timing works out that you get one last one with Phoenix, and then they do a Joker over there, and then in 5 years we get another Joker, much to Clay's dismay.
Well, I guess that's about it for the Joker news. Snell, thanks for joining us. That was really fun, the opening, and I'm really glad we got your Joker thoughts because, like I said, there's no bigger fan of the movie than you.
Well, the beginning wasn't fun for me. It was just all business. And I hope you're ready, Clay. I'm going to be hitting, grinding, banging and clanging on some Rocket League. And like I said, this is just a podcast, but it's in the middle of my world. And come Saturday, you're gonna have to really prove yourself. Everyone's going to be watching. They say they're watching. So, I hope you don't embarrass yourself there, sport.
Hey, I just need you to be prepared for Saturday. That's all. That's all.
I'm ready. Well, everyone have a good rest of the show. Have a good week, and I will catch you all later.
Thanks, Snell.
And actually, with that, before we jump on to any other news, I think we should go ahead and take our first ad break. Of course, we do not choose the ads, and we do not choose the volume, so please just turn your volume down just a little bit so it doesn't break your eardrums. But we will be back in 3, 2, 1. And we are back. So, where do you want to go next?
Well, we're going to have to jump in with the Flash crossover.
Oh,
bonanza here. Yes, let's go hard and get this.
Go ahead and get this over with. So,
unfortunately, listeners, there isn't much news. So this is like
there really isn't. I'm so glad that that Hines jumped, or Snell jumped in here and wasted 30 minutes of our time.
It's good to me because I had the COVID vaccine yesterday, and I'm starting to, like the last 3 hours, I'm starting to feel like I'm hitting a wall, getting a little bit warm, and so nothing too major. But this is like my flu game for MJ, so I'm going to power through. But I'm glad we don't have the most amount of news.
Well, I had a question for you. So, what episode are they on? Because I was just scrolling through my my YouTube TV DVR, what's in my library or whatever. I'm technically recording this season, but I haven't watched any of it. How many episodes have aired?
Ooh, I haven't watched the last 2. I want to say 11?
Okay, well then it did not record like a whole bunch because I think I've only had 4 episodes record.
11, yeah, 11 was right. I was right, 11.
Okay, well I've only had 4 episodes record, so I guess I'm not watching it as on my YouTube TV. I'll just wait until it hits either Netflix or HBO Max. But it says here that season 8 will kick off with a 5 crossover type episodes featuring superhero team-ups from across the Arrowverse. I think this is a good way around the massive crossover due to COVID precautions.
Yes.
This is very simple. Flash jumping around Earth, hanging out with everybody within the universe. and they don't necessarily all have to be on set at the same time. I think this is very smart. I don't know if they're gonna do anything too crazy as far as like try to CGI somebody in like freaking Snyder did in Army of the Dead, but
You think CW is rolling with that kind of budget, Clay?
no, they're not. But since we have now seen it happen, like I wouldn't be surprised if more people attempted to do the same thing at least. So how do you feel about this? Like, are you? Does this excite you enough to be like, I'm ready for season 8?
I got to see the ending because right now, it's a little like it's not doing it for me. I guess is the best thing. The Speed Force being the villain is not working for me.
I heard that. I'm like I said, I am not completely caught up. But you know me, I'm scrolling through TikTok and I have people who watch the CW shows and they said that the Speed Force is now the embodiment of Nora again, and is the villain, which I think is kind of ridiculous. And Tony, to answer your question,
yes.
I don't know if you saw the messages in our group chat. They have actually had conversations with Cress Williams, and he is not entirely sure, or he could just be saying that for the interview to be a surprise on the crossover. But from what he said, the conversations were like, hey, we're just going to ask you this. Okay, you're on board. Okay, we'll come back to you. And they come back to him like a few weeks later. Hey, are you still okay with this? Okay, just double checking. And then they came back to him again. Hey, we're actually going to think about doing this many episodes. Okay, well, we're actually thinking about this. Okay, cool. You're still on board. Like from what Cress Williams was explaining, that's kind of the conversation that they were going. It's very informal, but at the same time, I'm like, at least they're keeping him updated on things. So that's good, at least,
Well, because they won't film this until August, I want to say. They usually go back August or July, just before SDCC. Before this COVID thing, they would have a week or two film, like the first episode, maybe episode and a half, before they go to SDCC. So keeping them in the loop is nice. What I like about this is it's not a week of shows where everything's massively crazy in terms of the production and everyone got to be here and fall asleep and acting with like having your big on-screen death and you got to act with tennis balls there because the other people got to be on their shows because the scheduling's all messed up. This way it's so much better because you have 5 weeks of production of the Flash. So you have to spread out so much, and bringing other heroes in and having Flash go visit other heroes are great. I know I'm pretty confident we will see Black Lightning, and it's great because they do have that little moment together in the previous crossover. But I still need it to improve. Like the ratings on the shows, like this is like the season and a half is just beating me down. I have to catch up on Superman and Lois. That's basically what's going to drag me through. But I will be watching this. I will catch up just for the crossovers. I'm still focused on seeing Diggle and hopefully seeing him as Green Lantern. But again, Clay, getting my hopes up.
I don't know about that. We saw the photos of him being in Legends.
That was in Legends, yeah. But they have said from the start that his appearance in Legends is not Diggle. So it's like so it's just like a few past or a different Earth character.
Yeah.
But yeah, Flash has beat me down a lot. It's just I used to love it. Used to get right. I just think if this is season 8's the last season, it probably makes sense. So to do it this way, just to boost it up a little bit, because Flash has really been the crossovers got crazy good.
Yeah. So Tony says by next season we will only have Stargirl, Superman and Lois, Flash and Legend, Supergirl and Black Lightning ending the season. And I thought I saw Naomi will appear in January. I think honestly, Tony, that these will be more pushed to hey, we're going to be basically forgetting about we're going to forget about the unified world as far as Infinite Crisis. We are going to make everything standalone again. I think that's basically having a soft reboot. And if they want to go into this, connecting things after a little bit, that's what they'll probably do to gain more viewers and things like that. But I think as of right now, Superman and Lois is doing really, really well. I don't know if you've caught up at all,
Not yet. I'm
Travis.
still playing that
The
in a couple
last
weeks.
the last 2 episodes that just aired really brought some of the questions that everybody was having near the beginning. They answered all those, and the story is really on point. I will admit they are actually doing really, really good. I'm looking forward to Naomi just because of Ava DuVernay. I'm not looking forward to the story, but I'm hoping that Ava will bring something to that character because Bendis wasn't able to do anything with her. So I am looking forward to what that can become, not necessarily what it is right now.
Yeah, I've heard similar things. Tony saying that last episode. Wow, I can't wait to catch up. Thank you for not
Yeah.
spoiling it, everyone. Tony, if that happens, if Tony thought he saw somewhere that someone said Diggle turned that in the ring, I'll turn that in the show. If Diggle turns that in
Oh
the ring.
yeah, I don't know if that was in our chat or whatever.
I never
but
saw it in our chat.
Okay, so I think you just missed it then.
Yeah.
So there was either a article or something that basically said that Diggle ended up turning down the offer of the Green Lantern ring for some reason, and apparently it'll like reveal itself in the show. That is just a rumor as of right now, but because of course
it's the best thing up because it's completely knocking down my expectations. So,
but the next story we have is actually kind of going right into Green Lanterns. We have 2 stories that kind of surround this, so we can actually put them together. We have a kind of a date for beginning of filming. It says that the series is currently set to begin filming in September in Los Angeles, and that we actually got a director to direct multiple episodes, not necessarily I think for sure the pilot episode is the same director for Superman and Lois, which if that's the case, at least it's going to look good.
Multiple episodes. They didn't say pilot or not, but they said multiple episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing his episodes then for sure. Of course, this is still going to be an anthology, so it doesn't necessarily mean that he will be attached to, necessarily your fan favorite or whatever. But I'm still excited to see him. Like, I really enjoy the aesthetic of Superman and Lois. So putting that in the world of Green Lanterns, I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, same. I can't wait to see this show. I don't even know. I just need to see a trailer to see what kind of budget we're operating on here and what they're doing, because they have me, because we haven't had nearly enough Green Lantern content, and he could have rocketed off just like Flash. It's just who they pick.
It says here, Krieger has directed episodes of Riverdale, You, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Prodigal Son, and Superman and Lois. So he's got a pretty nice resume there.
Yeah, he could little extensive background, but need to see where the show is going, like with pilot first before we see like with individual directors for episodes. Maybe he'll direct 3 or 4, or maybe it'll just be 2. Like we need to get a higher episode count to know how much he's going to be involved.
So we had some more like streaming news, especially with HBO Max. This whole big thing with Discovery and Warner had us wondering where exactly is Kalar going to be. We thought he was going to be leaving. We heard somewhere that he might be getting an estimate of like anywhere from $15 to $23 million just for leaving Warner Media. But it looks here that he's actually going to be he's going to remain the Warner Media CEO through mid 2022. But we also got some information on HBO Max. Kalar announced that HBO Max arrives in Latin America just 2 days ago, June 29th, which means it's hitting 39 countries of that region. He also mentioned that the plan for DC Multiverse will result in 24 DC productions between all divisions to be available in the future. It was first reported as 2,000, but they made a mistake there. I was thinking that was way too much.
Yeah, I was like, okay, what's this the amount they're going to say in development and the ones that will never appear to light of day? But yeah, I thought he was gone. we don't know what this means because he could be gone when the merger goes through. So this could just be keeping him here just to make things operate the way
Yes,
they were.
and
Go to DC
Chris.
Film Squadcast. DC Film Squadcast. Tim really touches on all this stuff because he's been part of a couple mergers. So
Okay.
yeah.
Snell, Brent, and Chris both. They all three of them corrected me. I thought that this was technically already a done deal, but they do have to go through all of the paperwork and such. So we probably won't see an official merger and an official name for that merger until 2022.
Yes, at the earliest, I'd say.
Yeah.
That's it for that. And the other thing, the big thing was, and I don't even know how big it is because this seemed easy to read the tea leaves on this if you just watch the casting and everything for Black Adam, because according to producer Danny Garcia, she said, "We want to do many films. We're excited about our long-term relationship with DC on this property." But that's what everyone says, right, Clay? I don't even know why this got big heat because Rock's been with this title for so long.
It's the fact that they mention it making its own franchise. Very specific wording there. I understand that like Aquaman is his own franchise, Flash will be its own franchise, Wonder Woman is technically its own franchise, but this for some reason hit people a lot different or more different for the fact that this is The Rock. We all know that The Rock for a good 3 years, like he's always been in the limelight. Let's not, act as if he hasn't, but not every movie that he's made has been great. There was Rampage. I think that did pretty well, not fantastic. But then there was the Skyscraper movie that did horribly. Like he's been throwing out a whole bunch of stuff because he still wants, like I said, he wants to be in the limelight. So this kind of makes it sound like he's going to have his own little corner of the DC extended universe. I wouldn't really mind that. It's just very confusing in the sense of the one thing that we're always wondering, is this still a connective universe? Is this something that we will see The Rock, will Black Adam meet Shazam? Will he ever interact with Wonder Woman? Will he, will him and Jason Momoa go head to head together, or are they stating, hey, he is in his own little world dealing with the Justice Society, and that's going to be their own thing to play around with. That's their own little sandbox,
Well, you could period piece it, right, Clay? You could put it in the 1900s, early, mid 1900s, and then you could just let him play in that world for that line. But I think but he could also go back and forth, right? Because Black Adam can live and be alive then and be alive in present time. So he could dabble. There is ways to have him interact with the rest of the members of DCU and have his own little universe there. I think that's pretty easy to see with all the castings too that they're making. That's what they want to do. It's just is this going to be successful or not? That's basically the main thing behind that. And the final piece of news is Peacemaker's Freddie Stroma to replace Chris Conrad on HBO Max Suicide Squad spinoff Peacemaker.
I do not know who this guy is. I know who Chris Conrad is.
Vigilante. Yeah, that's the character that.
No. I don't know who the actor is.
Okay.
I don't know who Freddie Stroma is. Like, I don't know who he is whatsoever. So, like him replacing Chris Conrad for me is a little bit of a downgrade because I just don't know his acting ability. I don't know like who he is as an actor. So for me, it's just like, I would have probably much rather had Chris Conrad. But I mean, as long as it's still good,
Yeah, I gotta say, I've only seen the other guy, Freddie Stroma, because my girlfriend watched Bridgerton, and it was absolute trash. So I got a really negative.
That's the dude. Okay, I know exactly who that is. Then that's weird.
Frederick or something. Yeah. So but I'm just gonna wait and see on this one. But Vigilante is a character I'm really hoping they do well and they don't make him into a joke. So fingers crossed on that. But I think, Clay, that wraps up.
Well, there was one more piece of news. It's hardly news, really. You did send this
No.
to me.
Yeah, it
This
is.
whole thing with the Flash. It says here that WB reportedly didn't understand the Flash time travel in the Snyder Cut. And I don't know if I sent a meme to you guys. I saw it on Reddit today. Basically, like they approve Tenet, but they don't approve the Flash Snyder Cut. Like that makes no freaking sense whatsoever. Like you're telling me that it makes more sense to make an entire movie backwards than to see a man run forward and reverse time.
I don't know if they didn't think it made sense. I just hope that they didn't want to use it because the Flash solo movie was coming. That's what I hope. But with WB, that's definitely what actually happened.
Basically,
Makes no sense.
we do have before we jump onto our comics, we do have questions. Yes,
I have them here, ready to rock.
All right, cool. Go ahead.
Okay. The first one is from Tony, Walt Gator 93, who's in the chat right now. What do you think is the most underrated movie, comic book character, and TV show in DC?
So no. So it's movie, comic book, character,
Sure. Yeah.
and TV. So it's 4 different categories.
You like to go first?
So for me, well, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4 different categories. Underrated movie for DC. Shoot. Like I feel like a lot of DC's movies are very high profile, so it's very hard to think of one that is underrated, to be completely honest. I can't say Aquaman because it made $1 billion. I'm sorry for people who have that, like, oh, hot take, Aquaman was a good movie. Yeah, no shit, it made $1 billion. I understand people want to sound like they're intelligent, but honestly, I would say if I had to choose a underrated movie, it would have to be animated, and I would have to choose either. I'm going to go ahead and cheat and pick 2. It's either going to be Green Lantern Emerald Knights, which is the anthology for Green Lantern, or Batman Gotham Knight, which is another anthology. So that's the movies that I'm going to choose are underrated. As far as a comic book, a underrated comic for DC, I would have to say Tom Taylor's Suicide Squad. It did not do great in sales, but it was actually really, really good. He brought in he brought in completely new characters that he created, and they messed some stuff up. It was great. I absolutely loved it. It did end on a very wonky note, but that was because it was cut off at the knees and only had 11 issues. So they didn't even get to have 12, which is the normal Maxi series number. So I'm going to say that is my underrated comic book. The underrated character for DC would have to be 100% Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle to be exact. Probably one of my favorite characters. He is always cut at the knees because his books unfortunately do not sell. People get too impatient and like, oh, nothing is happening in this book, I'm just going to drop it. But it's because they get cut off at the knees so often. Writers are having to reintroduce this character to so many new readers, and so it has to start off slow, unfortunately. So people get tired of it, and then they lose sales on that book. So Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes' Blue Beetle will be the character. And as far as TV show, this one's hard. This one's hard because of the popularity of the DC CW. I would honestly have to say an underrated DC TV would have to be, gosh, I don't know if I can have one because there's like DC, even like animation TV was great.
But he's asking for underrated, so maybe didn't hit with the general audience like it should have. Maybe didn't last as long as it should have.
Well, in that case, I would probably say, gosh, you know what? Just because I feel like it was also cut at the knees. I would say the Batman.
Okay.
The Batman. That was
Three
like the new.
seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 3 seasons. Yeah, the
Similar to Justice
Batman
League. Yeah.
is what I'm gonna go ahead and say is the underrated TV show. What
That's a
about
pretty
you?
good. That's a pretty good selection there. For me, the underrated movie would be The Dark Knight Returns Part One and Part Two because it's such a faithful adaptation, and it's only popular with DC fans. It's not popular like general audience wise, and that is an excellent two-part story there. So that's one that I think is super underrated. Uh, Comic book before Watchmen, Ozymandias. I picked that up, I want to say a couple months ago. No one's ever told me anything about that. And I thought it was such a great read. It was something I didn't hear much about, and I was enthralled reading it. I couldn't get enough. Uh, Character, The Question. I would love to see a HBO Max series with The Question, especially how out of control some of these conspiracy theories have been getting. I think
Mhm.
it would be really fun to poke holes and make fun of that. Uh, and finally, TV show. Going to jump into the animated side again as well, like Clay. Green Lantern animated series.
Oh, that
Ended
was so good.
ended way
Yes.
too long. Ended way too short. Like
Yes.
should have had several years. So yeah, that would be my other choice there.
We
Thanks
never
for the
got to
question.
see Jon Stewart
No.
or Kyle Rayner. Like that. Oh man. If there was a renewal that needed to happen, it has to be Green Lantern, to be completely
Yes.
honest. It was such a good series. But we did have another
Okay.
question. So
Yes.
we had a question from Frank. His question is, if the general audience doesn't like the Flash movie, do you think WB will panic again? If WB has a plan, I'm more worried about them being unable to adjust accordingly more than anything. So, Travis, go ahead and answer this one first. What do you think?
I think that it doesn't matter right now, even if they do panic, because when the Flash movie gets released, this deal is going to be done, and anyone who was part of Team Panic may not even be there anymore. So it's really hard for me to judge all that until post merger. Now, if this was pre merger and we didn't know anything about it and the merger wasn't even happening, I would say yes. I would say, yeah, they would definitely panic if this isn't successful, and they would probably change things again because they have a history of doing that. But I will not paint Discovery and the people behind that in the same brush because they will have a controlling interest in this. So until I see that, I can't make a judgment. But if this was never happening, I would be 100% confident that they would panic and do something.
See, I think we're finally starting to know which side of the coin me and you are on in every single episode that we do here. You are the optimist and I am the pessimist. I will just say this right now. I've said this when the merger was announced. I don't think anything's changing. And if that means nothing's changing, then the regular old panic that WB will always have will always be there. I think they will panic. And yes, to a point, I do believe that there won't be anything to worry about because there will be at least new management as far as Dave Zaslav. But I am not 100% confident that everybody else is getting the boot. I think everybody is still keeping their jobs um, for the most part. I know that Emmerich will most likely be out the door, but I think everybody else will still be where they are, which is still part of the problem. So I think we should expect a panic. But Frank also said, I just wonder if Muschietti will lean into the horror background, be a little dark. Flash has plenty of material that can lean that way. That might freak them out. History has a way of repeating itself. I will say this. I told this story on Super Civil Servants this past week. I hate with a burning passion scary movies. I am a big wimp whenever it comes to scary movies. But even though my freaking Sour Patch candy box was completely crushed in my hands because I was treating it like a stress ball, I was still watching that movie. Muschietti is really good with a group setting. Yes, he will probably throw some things into the horror element just because that's something he knows what to do with, but he knows comedy as well. There was moments in It Chapter 2 that actually made me laugh in the midst of screaming and wanting to cry. But it was still funny and I really enjoyed those moments. So I don't necessarily have a problem or am worried on Muschietti's part. I'm more worried of everybody else wanting to take cookies out of the cookie jar or wanting to add freaking corn chips to cookies. It just doesn't make any sense. But WB thinks that they think that it works. So that's the problem that I'm always going to have is I'm going to have a problem with the suits, not necessarily the creators that are genuinely wanting to make a good movie.
Yeah, so we're just gonna have to wait and see on that because, like I said, I don't think they can't really make crazy decisions with this merger going on. So you gotta keep everything flowing as is. So we'll get the movie. I just don't know. I gotta wait and see hear from Discovery's guys about what they plan to do with DC before I get angry again. That's all. Yeah.
Now, I actually jumped into the chat right before we jumped into recording live. We didn't get to catch up as far as did you read the last two issues of our book this week? You did.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So we will be jumping into that right after our last ad break. Again, we don't choose the ads, we don't choose the volume, but we will be back in 3, 2, 1. And we are back. So we are on issues 7 and 8 of Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77. What did you think of these two issues?
I've really enjoyed them, Clay. I loved Wonder Woman and Batman going up against Raz. I didn't like how easily he got away, and that was like Wonder Woman's supposed to have all these powers. But I did enjoy like seeing her interact with Bruce, finding out that he was Batman. But I can't believe that he just took off his mask at the end there. We'll get into spoilers, but just revealing his identity and Catwoman's just like 3 feet away.
Right there. Yeah, that's the one thing that I was like, what are you doing, Bruce? What's wrong with you? You know?
Well, they hint. I read a couple pages in the next one. They hint that a certain someone may have found out about a certain someone's identity. Kind of makes sense when you're this bold with taking off your mask. To be honest with you,
yeah. So of course, Chapter 7 is written by Mark Andreyko, Jeff Parker, pencils by David Hahn, inker Carl Kessel, colorist Mad Pencil, and letterer Wes Abbott. So we start exactly where we had left off in this maze. Ra's al Ghul is now outside of the pit, which it didn't even dawn on me. There's a freaking Lazarus pit on Paradise Island.
Yeah.
Like, just that is a thing. I would really like to, if the DCEU were to really get connected and really get really comic booky, having Ra's al Ghul infiltrate Paradise Island to get into a Lazarus pit would actually be really freaking awesome, especially with the Amazons that we see in the DCEU, seeing exactly how a Ra's al Ghul would get through them. I think I would really appreciate that. But seeing it here was actually really, really cool.
Yeah.
We have, this crazy one thing that I didn't know also is Ra's al Ghul has like more than just the dominance of being the demon's head. He has like these mystical powers as well, which he has these two bodyguards that are basically like he makes this comment that they're dead, but they still protect the head of the demon, and they can catch on fire.
Yeah.
It makes this is the kind of wonkiness of Batman 66 that's just like, okay, this makes no sense whatsoever, but let's go with it,
Quick, my fireproof cape.
But I really did enjoy this, this whole idea that like these guys that are on fire, they shine so brightly that the shadows that they cast actually come to life, made it again, the wonkiness of this crazy campy Batman makes it more of a, hey, these are the comic books that we all know and love, but thrown into this world. I really did enjoy this. The back and forth between Catwoman and Batman, made it a little bit more natural in this issue, which I really did enjoy as well. But I can't remember if it was this issue. I think it's next issue. We see Talia start to get into the fight or whatever.
Yes.
Talia actually knows that Bruce is Batman.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily know how that's a thing, but I guess we will learn about that later on.
True love, power of love, as the Flash would say.
But we have the classic sword fight between Ra's al Ghul and Batman. If anybody is ever a fan of Batman, we know that they did have that epic fight with the Neil Adams reiteration of these characters. He is actually the co-creator of Ra's al Ghul, and they actually did that story in Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
Same thing. They didn't
Very
do it here.
faithful.
They didn't have Batman take off his shirt in here, but they did have a sword fight, which I thought was really, really cool.
Yeah, it looked like Raz was going to win, though, and Talia came in to essentially save Bruce and knock them all out instead of letting him kill him.
Yeah, and it actually looks like Talia is wanting them to take Bruce as like the new leader of the Shadows.
Yes.
Which I thought was really interesting. Unfortunately, it doesn't really happen. It doesn't really nothing really takes forward with that, because he does offer them like, hey, swear your allegiance to me or you die. And Batman was like, yeah, our answer. We're not going to do it. And they put them basically, they put a spell on the beach, which becomes quicksand. I really enjoyed this issue. As campy as some of these parts are, this was really action-packed, and I actually really, really enjoyed it.
It works because you know where Batman 66 is coming from, which is campy, and Wonder Woman 77 campy. So this would be the Sam filling in on them would be the end of one episode of Batman the Animated Series and Batman 66, and they would say, tune in next time. Will Batman, Wonder Woman, and the rest survive or not? Same bat time, same bat channel. So it leads right into it. It's very Batman 66-y.
Yeah, I really do enjoy the fluidness of these issues, starting and ending basically at the exact same spots. We see the appearance of Wonder Girl in this issue. It's not the same Wonder Girl that we all know and love. I can't remember the name right off the top of my head.
You'll get it a little bit in a couple panels.
Yeah, we get it later. Talia actually decides to save Bruce and save Batman. And even like Wonder Woman just flies out of the sand, and Catwoman's like, you couldn't do that before I was choking on sand? Like, what's wrong with you? Like,
you forgot per pun too.
Yeah, there was a lot of those in these two issues, I will admit. But Wonder Woman, I will say this. Wonder Woman in these last two issues are we all know her as the loving, caring, superhero that is very kind and is very humble. Here, it's like, hey, I understand that you had a change of heart, but you're still gonna answer to your crimes. Like, she's kind of cold in these two instances towards Talia, which I appreciate.
But yes, she is, and then we'll get a little bit later. She lets somebody else just have asylum to help. So their code is kind of odd at times. But I love how Batman shoots Raz's boat and catches it on fire, and Raz just swan dives into the water and totally leaves Talia too. What a great death!
Yeah, we get a small little cameo or Easter egg of the diving suits that did appear on Wonder Woman 77, the TV show, which I thought was really funny. But this is where Bruce reveals his secret to Wonder Woman. And he's like, do you not recognize me? And I'm like, dude, you're in a mask. Nobody's going to recognize you. And plus, you're 22 years older. Like, nobody's going to recognize you. But she does, in fact, say, oh, Bruce Wayne, that you're a man now. And he's like, yeah, and it's thanks to you that I'm a hero, basically. They all go back to Paradise Island. They're partying it up. Yeah, I see Wonder Girl doing that. That's actually really funny. But they are going to Wonder Woman to report that they think that Ra's al Ghul is dead, that he's swimming with the fishes, basically. But Batman says, hey, I've done this superhero thing more than enough times to know that Ra's is probably, safe and sound plotting against us right now.
He literally
And
says nobody. No, he's probably
yeah,
out there.
yeah. We all know the golden rule in comic books. If there's no body, there's no death, basically. They make a small comment about Talia. Hopefully she is true in her nature in changing, and that hopefully that can turn around. But this is where you were talking about the asylum. Catwoman, Batman again is the same kind of way that Wonder Woman was with Talia. Batman says, hey, thanks for helping out, but I'm arresting you now. And she's like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen because I requested asylum here at Paradise Island. Here, Wonder Woman's like, hey, Bruce, I'm sorry, but yeah, she's right. We did give her asylum, but there are conditions to this asylum. She's going to be making sure that she is a good citizen on this island and all of that. She does seem a little distraught about these demands of her asylum, but she'll take it rather than being, sent to prison, basically.
For 10 years instead of 20. She does make that joke. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Batman actually tries to convince Wonder Woman to go back to man's world, basically, because he thinks that the world could, use a Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And she says that as of right now, she does need to be on Paradise Island. But we get the narration that, hey, it's not going to take another 22 years to meet up, possibly 11. And it looks like next issue is teasing a team up with Nightwing.
Yes.
So this is the next issue here. I'll just give a short little tease for our viewers on YouTube. It looks like we are getting Nightwing and Batgirl. So that will be actually really, really cool. This is a part of Batman 66 that we've never seen before. So
Correct.
a grown-up Dick Grayson and a Barbara Gordon. So I think that is very, very cool that we will be seeing that. I'm really enjoying this book so far. We are doing 9, 10 next, and then 10, and then 11, 12. So we're a little bit more than halfway. I'm really enjoying it.
Same. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much, but it really puts me in the mood to watch Batman 66 and have a big laugh for myself, if I'm being honest with you.
Now, I want to double check. Batman 66 is not on any streaming service, is it?
I don't think so. The best suggestion for me would be justwatch.com. It usually tells you whatever, if it's on a streaming service or not.
So I do the simple way. I just Google it. And usually whenever it shows it, it'll show you all of your options on how to watch it on Google. Right now, it just says watch now from $1.99. So you have to rent it, from what I am saying. So it's not on any streaming service. I wonder if that is because of possible syndication.
Fox owns the rights to this, I'm pretty sure.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know where it went with
Damn it, Disney.
But yeah, Fox. I'm pretty sure Fox owns the rights to this, so that's probably why you're not seeing it on TV. And I don't know with Wonder Woman 77. That's on HBO Max. It is.
Yes, because she was on DC Universe last time I had seen it there. So that will be on HBO Max. Batman 66 is not, which is a crying shame. Like I would really like to, because I was gonna buy the Blu-ray complete. What is it? The complete series. That thing is a pretty penny.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think I'm gonna wait for a little while.
You need to find those in like used video stores and stuff like that. That's kind of straight pawn shops. But yeah, listeners, I think that's it for everything here.
That is another episode. And I will say this. This is episode 53. Last episode was 52. That is a whole year. That is a year of this show, and we didn't do anything big.
Well, in our defense, there was 0.5s along the way. So we might have gotten a few before, but we're not going to celebrate a year till it's a year with me and you. So we're going to float that back, and we will be celebrating that pretty hard.
All
But
right, sounds good.
But listeners, thanks for listening and being along with the show for 53 chapters. Like I was saying to Snell earlier, I wasn't even supposed to be part of this show. Was created for the network. I was a fill-in, literally I want to say 4 or 5 days before the show was supposed to start, and been loving it ever since. DC is my favorite, so this is great, and it's nice to talk about things that are going on weekly instead of talking about shows from the 90s and 2000s. So
I will say this, and I hope that nobody like sees me as somebody who hates DC or anything. DC is part of my heart. I love these movies. I love the comics. I love the animation. I love everything about DC. I know that I can be a little bit of a sourpuss sometimes, but I will say that's all WB's fault. We were having the conversation about this whole merger with Discovery and Warner earlier today, and Brent made a really good not accusation, but he made up a good point that there can be still somebody else if they want to make an offer, so if there is somebody out there, I said Apple, if Apple wants to buy Warner Media, and so instead of having HBO Max, we all just need to get Apple TV Plus, and all of that stuff goes to Apple. I think that would be really cool. But if Warner Media and if the rights for the DC goes to people who I think is competent enough and to like have me trust them, that's when I'll start to get really excited. I'm still going to be excited about the Batman. I told everybody, yeah, there's stuff that's going on corporate wise and business wise that I don't agree with. And I was super excited about the trailer. I'm not just going to be like, oh, I'm no longer excited about it. Like, I'm still excited for that movie. It's just some things that are going on behind the scenes that I don't agree with that make me this pessimist. But that's all I really wanted to say. So that way people don't think that I'm like a fake fan on a DC show. So
no one
just putting that out there.
Clay, no. If they go to your link tree with your podcast and everything, no one thinks no one thinks that. No one thinks. Or if they do, they're not. They're one of those people that just read the title on things and like, oh my god, I know everything about it, and go off and talk about it. So, couldn't be more glad that you're part of this crew. And when something's good, you still gush about it. You just don't take any more of WB's BS. So couldn't be more happy to have you aboard, my friend. Listeners, thank you for supporting not only this show but the network as a whole. We have our own podcast feed now, DC Alliance. Just search that in your podcast app of choice and you will find it. If you still are on the Geek Ultimate Alliance channel, you will get the same things there as well. But please, if you're just a fan of our show or just want to make sure that you don't miss our show weekly, give that podcast a little subscribe there, and that'll be great.
And rate and review us so that way
yes,
we can be seen by others who want to find us again. So please do that for us. And also, because I have never done this before and I would really like to try it. If anybody would like to throw out some show mail to us in regards to any of the topics that we talked about today, and if you do a review, I would be willing to read it on air as long as it's appropriate. And let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm excited and fingers crossed. That it's good, but regardless, we'll be on the real feed as well. So on the GUA feed as well as the DCA feed. So please, hell, even download both and listen to both, or even just play both through like I do. That would be great. Yeah, thanks for supporting the network. Thanks for listening to the show, and we'll be back next week, hopefully with some more DC news. Later, everyone. Later, Clay.
See ya.